And so it is. Dear Shambram, you wonder if you no longer have guardian angels and spirit guides, who is there to love you? The first one should be yourself. Yourself. Part of the whole process that you chose was to go beyond having to have that outside energy, was to be able to take the responsibility of even loving yourself. It produces its own challenges and difficulties because there's this memory desire to want to go back outside for that love, to want to have those angels, those guides return back to you, to want to have those in the Crimson Council just come in to hug you, to love you, and never to leave you. But when you take responsibility for yourself, you learn what true love is. Love of self, love from you to every part of you. When you know that level of love and compassion, then you begin to see it in everyone else. Instead of having judgments about them, instead of wanting to change their lives, instead of feeling a resistance to other people, you start to feel that same level of love and caring and acceptance, the same level of compassion that Chez has for Rebecca, and that every other guardian angel has for every human. You start feeling that whole new level of connection. And it emanates first from you, and then it connects to all of the others. In order to get to that level of enlightenment, it's also important to understand how you're choosing the games that you play. One of the most frequent things we hear from humans is that they're demanding, insisting that they aren't choosing it. They're demanding that it's coming from the outside, or blaming it on some aspect of them that they feel is more overwhelming or more powerful than they are. One of the things that we try to help you to understand is there is no other person, entity, aspect, or anything else that is grander than you. So when we challenge you, when we say, take a look at the games that you're playing in your life, we're doing it from a place of love, from a place of knowing that ultimately you are the creator of your own reality. It's not going the way you think you want it to go. Take a look. Why isn't it? If you stop playing the games, what are you really going to have to give up? Are you going to have to therefore be authentic with yourself? Are you therefore going to start being original? So, with that, we would love now to have dialogue with you, answer your questions, and we're going to ask that the microphone go out into the audience for us to come to you.
Oh, yay. Hi, Tobias. Much love and etheric hugs to you. 2008 has been one long string of surrenders for me, albeit with a few tantrums, drama. And although I have a plethora of Gemini-style questions I could ask, in the spirit of my artisticness, I would rather paint a broad stroke and ask that for some words of advice and inspiration from you, specifically regarding my artwork. And please give Saint Germain a loving jab for me for the wonderful gift of the crow statue.
Indeed. The gift, the words that we have are what are already contained in this shout about being original and about being authentic. Now, as an artist, you have this creative desire to express, and generally, it's a desire to express the joy of life, or, if nothing else, the experience of life. But so often that this is overshadowed by things like wondering if others will accept and like your artwork, whether you will be considered a great artist. There's a small but noteworthy part of you that has this aspect, the artist aspect, that wants the acknowledgement, some frustrations from past lives, but again, it's all a game. That desire to have others accept you as an artist, to have others enamored or even infatuated with the artwork. Go back to the point of authenticity and being original. Then it really won't matter, but the odd thing is that the moment it doesn't matter so much is the moment that you see the actual manifestation of your own desires. You see the beauty in your own work, and then the others see that as well. So let go of some of these desires, this aspect to be the artist, and rather just to be yourself. Thank you.
Hi, Tobias. I have a question about kids, the kids that are activating or awakening right now, and consciousness is not at the same level, so there's imbalances. Do you have any advice for parents, teachers?
Indeed. You say that consciousness is not at the same level, but you're looking at it from a very singular point of view.
Yes, I am.
Consciousness has many different layers and levels, and there are many layers and levels that are going to appeal to some of the new ones, some of the crystals that are coming in, and some of the souls that are returning in a very relatively clear fashion without a lot of karmic overlays. There are more new energy education programs that are sprouting up across the earth than ever before. This is that Pong that we talked about before. There are more humans on earth right now, including Shambra, who are ready to venture out with their new energy education programs, the high consciousness education. Many of them are still holding back. They're not trusting themselves, but the way the energy works, it's going to help naturally bring out some of these programs. So there's no shortage of new energy education for some of these new ones. Now, there will still be the current public schools and some of the old energy education systems across the earth. You don't have to worry about those. It's more allowing the children to become tuned into the new energy education, even if they happen to be going to a public school. In other words, all of the potentials are there. Let them make the connection. I'm going to add, not for you so much, but for Shambra all over the world. Education is a very big issue. It has to do with the development of consciousness when done right. But there's also a tendency for Shambra, for some others, to basically either feel that the educational system is pathetic or feel sorry for it. And truly, it's time to let that go. There are enough of these new energy education programs going on. Put your consciousness towards those and help them develop, rather than being angry with the old system.
Thank you.
Right here. Shalom Aleichem, Tobias. I have several questions. One is, today is exactly 1 month since my husband passed on. The person who was doing his dream walk stopped it, I think, a few days ago. Just wondering whether he has made a decision of where he wants to go, because I know he wanted to be on his own.
We'll take that one first.
Okay.
Indeed. We have been with him ever since he crossed over, and as you know, it was no surprise. He was ready to go. Ever since he got to our side, he has been talking away, entertaining the angelic chorus, so to speak. He was filled with stories. He doesn't want a dream walk at this point. He wants the companionship, but he was very adamant, and he told you this beforehand. Very adamant about he's not ready to go to the Bridge of Flowers. Doesn't want to. There's too much that he is still interested in on Earth. In particular, making sure that you are taken care of, both financially as well as emotionally. So he's working to assist you on that. He also has this incredible passion to work with new energy healers from some of the things that he knew to be true, but he was never able to get it across when he was here on Earth. So he's very, very busy working with the new energy healers. So there have actually been 3 or 4 who have tried to do a dream walk with him, unknowing that others were trying to do it. And he has basically told them he's not interested. He's very present in the room right now, and he's doing that strange little dance that he would do on occasion that wasn't always so flattering. But at least it's an expression of his joy. Thank you. Next question.
Well, it's still a little bit to do with him. He had been writing a book that was almost finished, and there have been people asking me if I was going to publish it, and I was wondering whether you had any thoughts on whether I should pursue that.
He would prefer not to have it completed right now. There's some things that he's reformulating regarding the closing chapters of the book, which he wants some time on the other side. And then if you are willing, he'd like for you to write it, and if not, to help find a writer who will finish that, and he'll basically help channel or communicate that message. But it will probably be about a year.
Okay, thank you. I guess the other thing is about the business that I just bought last month, and I'm not sure whether, although I enjoy the business, whether I should be channeling my creativity somewhere else.
Actually, any of you can channel your creative ability through anything. You can run a restaurant and have it as a creative endeavor, or a bookshop, or a convenience store, anything you choose. So creative isn't just about painting, drawing, anything like that. Oddly enough, you can be an accountant and be very creative. And it is...
Ooh.
But some of you think that it is...
That's what the car companies were doing.
Some of you think... some of you think that it is very, very structured. And while there is structure can be creative, but the expression of your energies into even things like accounting work. Accounting is balancing. You're learning and helping others to learn about balancing energy. So it's not just writing numbers on a sheet of paper or in a spreadsheet. So no matter what you endeavor, let your creativity flow into it and through it. Doesn't mean you're stuck with that with the rest of your life. It is an experience. It is a joy. So often people withhold their creative energy from the businesses, thinking that there's something wrong with it, or it's going to twist and distort their creativity. But that's what you now have is a wonderful conduit for creativity and allowing the business to grow, and when you're ready, to sell it. Thank you.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I just want to go back a little bit to Albert. I'm just curious, why did he choose to leave at this time? Because I know there was so much that he wanted to do in this lifetime, and on the physical level, I know he didn't want to go.
To put it very clear, he chose to leave now so that he could come in again soon. Sometimes it's easier to trade in the old and pick up a new. He felt very frustrated with some of the biological aspects and even some of the family line, bloodline type of aspects, and he felt it would be much easier to come back in a better place of choice. Now, when you were talking to Albert one-on-one, of course, there's the fear of leaving or a regret that enough wasn't done, but at a deeper level, it's actually a realization that it would be easier to come back again, and particularly with the ability to remember who you are and what you've done in the past. So it's not a sad thing at all, but rather a very, how to say, practical, very beautiful thing.
Thank you, Tobias.
And he's still working very hard on the other side. He hasn't stopped at all.
Yeah, I'm finding this a little dizzying. Tobias, I have a question about my business, Facets Health. Health has always been a passion in my life. And it's not doing what it was, again, what this human part of me or whatever wanted it to do. And I've decided or felt the desire to let go of those old things. I've talked to many people. Can you give me some sense of what's happening there?
Yes and no. And the yes is that is your own indecisiveness and not knowing what you want to do. You literally go back and forth, and it's I don't want to say it's a totally different plan every day, but seems to be different paths or directions you take on a regular basis. And if I could be so
Please.
bold as to say, it's a bit of a game where you're not sure what you want to do, so you're playing the game brilliantly. And it manifests that way. So part of the thing is standing behind the short wall for a bit and asking, what do you really want to do? Not what you have to do, or not what some of the old energy habits would make you think you want to do, but what do you really want to do? And that's a very, very difficult question. Mm-hmm. It's easier for you or anybody to be led by outside circumstances than create your life by inside choice. So the energy here is you're not really sure at this point. And being a brilliant creator and manifester, that's exactly what you're getting. Try to take some time away from it all, just a short period of time. Take a look at where this issue of doing the body, the health type of work came from. There was a reason why you had an interest in it back when. Mm-hmm. But perhaps that interest has changed now. Perhaps there's something that goes, perhaps you've satisfied that need or that desire, and there's something new that's waiting right outside the door. I'd like to tell you what it is, but I know it's more important that you discover it yourself.
Thanks a lot, huh? You know, but you won't tell.
Yes. So taking the time is really the issue for me.
Take a bit of time away from it and take a look inside. What decision do you want to make? And I would emphasize the word making that decision, because you keep tiptoeing around it, thinking about it, but never committing to it. There's a fear of committing to it. What if it fails? What if it's been the biggest, most important dream, and you make a commitment to it and it fails? Then, therefore, do all dreams fail? You see.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's easier sometimes to pretend than to actually be.
Okay. Thank you.
And excellent question, actually, on behalf of many, many people.
Hi, Tobias. I have family in Cuba. I was raised in this country, and due to the intense political drama, the family was torn up. I am in close communications right now. Well, not this second, but I am in close communication.
Maybe you are.
Perhaps I am, with a cousin. And he's very aware and very alert. But the last 6 weeks for me have been one of almost unrestrained joy at the potential for change. And when I communicated this to him, he communicated back. He's right. I can't see the world through his eyes. He's in an island, and it's a prison in more ways than one. However, I truly believe that we are at a threshold of a tremendous change. He will read the answer to this question because I send him the channels and the questions. I send him everything. Could you address the energetic potentials for Cuba?
Indeed.
Thank you.
Be happy to. And mark my words, which we know you all will do. This hasn't been spoken about much in public, but as this new administration comes in, actually one of the top things on their priority list is the normalization of relationships with Cuba. It is one of those. Now, by the way, I have to say that this administration is so much more new energy or high consciousness than they would ever want to let get out, because it'd scare a certain faction to think that there's these high consciousness, high integrity people now in office. And but one of the first issues is addressing this. It's going to bring up a lot of political noise, but it's going to be put on the table. We're going to say within the first half of this next year, but definitely within this year. And it's going to involve some very letting go of some very old stuck energy, which the administration realizes is blocking so many things. Now, how can you talk about being one of the leaders of the free world, but having all of these barriers and enemies? So this has been placed on the top of the priority list to basically set an example and send a message to the rest of the world that we're done playing games, that we're going to let the past be the past. So you can tell this dear one that expect change, and expect that there will be some who do not like it, but the change will go through. And it's going to have a very interesting effect on so many different family relationships.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would throw in another note here. There's been an opportunity for Caldra and Linda to go to this place.
Oh, okay.
And
sure. Before you leave?
Now, I would have to say that Caldra was not all that interested in it, but I would say that we're not going to force anything, but they will be going there sooner than they
Before
they
you leave?
Not necessarily, but
good.
but soon.
No surprise.
Tobias, my cousin would like to sponsor you, I'm pretty sure.
Lydia will talk afterwards.
And see how it works out. Actually, I will go so far. Calder's a bit embarrassed, but quite frankly, I wanted to give a personal message to Fidel Castro, and there was a need. Do I have to be so public? Yes, there was a need to do it, and basically to talk to Castro about this whole issue of Atlantis rising, the whole his role in basically protecting an energy. Now, some of you may disagree with how it was done, but at the end of the day, it was about protecting some of those old energies and helping to ensure that some of the very difficult and warrior energies of Atlantis didn't come back up at this time, that they were basically mellowed or evened out. And there was that very high potential, and it would not have necessarily been pretty. So we say to those who are in Cuba, those who are in leadership, that there was something that is going on far beyond what you may realize.
Thank you.
And don't have to worry about the CIA knocking at your door.
Okay, thank you.
They'll pull you over in your car.
Oh, right. Thank you.
This will be the last question?
2 more.
Oh, please. Okay.
And Indy, go.
Hello, Tobias.
Yes.
I have a question about someone who passed many, many years ago, and actually you talked about this person. And he comes in very compassionately on occasion, but recently his son actually died very sort of dramatically, and he was only like 19. So if you could talk about how they're doing, if they're united, and if you could also follow up on my question I asked many months ago about creative expression.
Indeed. Let it be known that there's a misconception that we can connect with any dead entity on our side. And we know there are many questions in that bag, and even with some of you today, about departed ones.
Thank you.
It is easier making the connection with them shortly after they go, but then, just like God, the angels don't know everything. And we're not, just because you're an angelic being doesn't mean you're a psychic being. So we want to clarify that. We have to go literally through your energy for the clarity and to find these beings. The sun we can feel through you actually, and the Father we cannot feel at all. It's not being deliberately blocked, but there's nothing there, which means it could have returned back to Earth or gone to do other work. The sun is feeling very remorseful, very guilty about some things in his life, which is one of the reasons the conditions were set up that he would leave. So I'd have to say quite authentically, he is brooding right now. He is quite not angry, but feeling quite guilty and quite sad. So what do? Do you feel sorry for him and you try to go rescue him? Or do you take the examples of the guardian angels and just be there in love and compassion, allowing him to brood, allowing him to feel terrible, which is what he's feeling right now? And can you have that level of compassion when he comes out of this depressed state, even on the other side, that he suddenly realizes there is that love and compassion there for him? And if another person like you can love him so much, then perhaps, just perhaps, he can love himself also. So we'll talk to you offline about the second portion so we can take this one last question.
Oh, good. Last question. We have a party, you know.
Indeed. I was desirous of a glass of wine, but Cauldre also didn't think it would be appropriate to do that in public, so... Of course, remember, it is my last December.
Could we have a sip of wine for Tobias as we close this Q&A, please? While we're doing this last question, could somebody bring that up? Susie, you like to carry the wine to Tobias. Could you do that? Red wine or white?
There is only red.
Sorry. White
wine in my days was known for teenagers and goats.
Nice. Okay.
So
just a little.
It's coming.
Walk it up here for Tobias. Here we go. Oh, look at that. We get lovely Susie Schemmel on camera, too. Woo! Thank you, Susie.
Thank you. We'll wait for the last question to be asked, and then we'll have a toast.
Super.
So since I have the microphone, I'd like to ask the last question.
Indeed.
And currently the world is going through a financial pandemic, if you will, and major change. And we're at at the point of having a fresh start with the new administration. And I'm wondering what tips you might offer not only to the Obama administration, but to the global leaders and world consciousness to make this transition easier and smoother. It seems like part of the problem we're having in America, of course, is old walls that we've put up, especially between Mexico. And yet with terrorism, it'll be hard for people to tear walls down. So that's a delicate issue. Now, what if you might offer some insight to facilitate that process?
In indirect answer to your question, you might be surprised at how much advice we have been giving, and being requested for the advice, which is even more interesting. So it's not like we're trying to just inflict our thoughts or ideas, but we're literally being asked for that. I would say, in answer to the question about the financial, not to overreact. What is happening right now is you speak of old walls. We're talking about the old walls of the old established financial systems are coming down, which we noted about 3 or 4 years ago that it was going to happen. It is appropriate because they were very old energy and they were hoarding power and they were very, very greedy. The new consciousnness won't allow that. So the walls are tumbling, and even if the market goes down, it is no need to panic. For those of you who are in the market right now, don't start overreacting to it because it is going to be rebuilt. In the next few years are going to be difficult for many people that were holding on because they're going to try to go back to what it used to be like. And that's one of the key things if you read between the line in many of the financial stories and that are going to be coming up in the news. They're going to be trying to find ways to go back to the way it was, and it won't go back. It's going to be rebuilt out of new stones, but stones that are different than anything that's been used before. Of course, we're talking in metaphors here. The foundation of the new world financial system is going to be quite different, and it's not going to be held by just a few, and it's not going to be controlled by a few greedy, but it's going to have what we would call open potential in it. For those of you who worry about a one world financial system thinking that this is the end of times, it is going to be a consistent and congruent financial system without having a single point of authority. A good analogy to this is the internet. There's not one person or one company controlling it, and those who do try to control it soon find it works against them. The financial system is going to become much more fluid, and it is going to carry open potential for humans all across the world who want to get involved in it. So you're going to see tremendous changes in these next 4 years that
Take a sip.
It wasn't that. That was. You're going to see tremendous changes in the next 4 years that will cause some people grief, but understand it's simply the remaking or the re-enlightenment of things like the financial system. I don't want to get too deep into some of the other considerations because next month we're going to talk about what lies ahead in this next year. So we'll leave it at that. But excellent question and excellent way to leave the day.
Thank you.
To leave the day in a toast from Shez and all the rest of us, from Saint Germain, from Carl Jung, from Katumi, from all of those in the Crimson Council. We toast your work on earth, and we toast this time of holiday and celebration. And so it is.
And so it is.